Welcome to Energy Linguist, a sacred space for awakening souls ready to learn how language shapes consciousness and discover what energy has been speaking all along. I am Laura Ahern, the Energy Linguist, a spiritual channel and the founder of Linguistic Consciousness Studies. In this podcast, I share divine transmissions and teach you to decode the language shaping your consciousness so that you can heighten your intuition, claim your calling, and learn to create consciously instead of unconsciously. Take a breath. This is where unconscious creation becomes creative mastery. Hello, and welcome to Energy Linguist Podcast. I am your host, Laura Ahern, the Energy Linguist, and I am so thrilled to have you here today for this very powerful message. Today, I am speaking directly to you high achievers out there. Those of you who are creators, visionaries, you're empathic, you care much about the world, about others, and you probably tend to have a very high self-standard, meaning you hold yourself to a very high expectation. If that's you, I want you to keep listening here because this message coming through today is very important. First, I want to start by saying, I see you. I see you because I myself have an extraordinary high standard of self, a high inner expectation of things to be perfect, the energy of perfectionism. And many times in our lives, that can actually be an extraordinary gift to us. It can be something that ends up setting us aside from the masses, that helps us to really stand out, to make a difference, to let people know not only who we are and what we do, but that there is a different way that the world can be operating or seeing things. And so a lot of the times this can really serve us. However, there are times in which it can also create an extraordinary hindrance for what we're here to create in the collective and how we are meant to change this planet. In mentoring spiritual entrepreneurs who are having massive impact across the globe, I have seen a pattern of perfectionism and planning that rises in a way that begins to actually undermine their impact rather than simply accentuating it. And so today I'm speaking to you high achievers because what divinity has revealed to me is a pattern that exists in the collective that is causing us high achievers who love our perfect standards to actually miss out on the opportunity to actually do what we came to this planet to do. What divinity has revealed is that your self-standards, these high self-standards, are actually self-preservation. So I want you to take a moment and to breathe that in and to ask yourself, just to see yourself for a minute. Can I see in my life places in which I was leaning into attachment to how things should be, to an extraordinary high standard, to wanting things to be perfect, when it was really a mask for what was avoidance, procrastination, in an attempt to not do the thing that truly makes us uncomfortable, which typically is exposing ourselves, being vulnerable. Now, many of you who are spiritual entrepreneurs, you may find this concept a bit challenging because maybe you want to step in and defend why it is so important that all of you, the things that you've been working on are at their highest standard. And I have to say, human Laura agrees with you wholeheartedly. And I agree because in essence, I understand what it looks like because I experience it myself to want everything to be perfect, to want our client journeys to be perfect, to want the way we show up in the world to be perfect, to really make it matter. And this, again, can be a positive thing. However, what divinity is coming through to reveal to us today is that it can also be the thing that stops us from serving it all. When we are attached to feeling like we need to know everything before we start helping others, we need to have a perfect plan, we need to see the entire evolution of ourselves before we're even willing to step in, what happens is that our messages stay silent. That light that we have remains hidden. And the impact that our soul so desperately yearns to share is completely halted. And we really don't need that energy to slow. During these awakening times, what we really need is that energy of our deepest passion to be ignited ferociously and shared immediately, because change is underway and the collective is hungry for it right now. During this awakening time, we are in an extraordinarily rare circumstance where there is a great hunger in the world to be awakened to the spiritual truths that exist beyond the material world. Even souls who may not consider themselves very spiritual in nature are yearning for it. They're leaning into it. They're seeking out the unorthodox methods because we as a collective have become fed up with these cycles of suffering that we have been stuck in. You see it in medicine as well. People start to look for unorthodox treatments, holistic. It's weird to say that that would be unorthodox, but holistic, ancient remedies in order to really start to heal the source, because they've realized that managing the superficial symptoms still is keeping them in suffering. It may alleviate the pain, but it can potentially cause another problem, and or the imbalance is still there. And so on all layers of our collective experience, humanity is looking for answers that are not there yet. And part of the reason that they're not there yet is because they are being awakened within those of us who are here to serve the planet. I am so proud to say that my own soul's calling, what I came to this planet to do, is to awaken the awakeners. The souls who work with me are awakening to the truth that they came here with a very special medicine to share with the world, and that it's ready to be shared now, even though they may feel insecure about it. Maybe there's doubt. Maybe they don't understand how that old identity of the human self can be in harmony with this highest spiritual knowing of what they're here to do. But that's why I'm here to work with people, to help them to harmonize and recognize that all of the journey of our identity, even the pieces that we feel ashamed of or try to fight or deny or maybe hold us back and speak loudly when we're trying to move forward, even those pieces are meant to be our wisdom and our ignition for why we can serve. Any mistake you feel you made, any problem that you've faced is part of the reason that you are here to serve. That is your badge to say, I have experienced life and I am here to give back to the world. So often we are trying to make ourselves fit this perfect mold. We're so ashamed of mistakes we've made in our past. We're so terrified of being exposed for what we feel like is a fraud, the imposter that we feel we are, that instead of going out there right now and sharing the light that we have to share, we try to prove that we are worthy of service. And instead, we keep working so hard to learn more, be more, see ourselves as more before we're willing to expose ourselves to the world. And I'm here to tell you today that the world does not need someone to show up in the perfection. They need a real human being who has been spiritually ignited, who has become awakened to the deep spirit and the connection with infinite source, to speak up and say, hey, I get it. I've been there. I see you. I've made mistakes. And through those mistakes, through the regrets, through the pain, I have discovered solutions. I have found peace in those solutions. I found comfort in them. I've overcome much on account of it. And here is the strength I've built. And I want to share that strength with you. It's so important that we recognize that perfectionism really does mask itself as a positive thing, when in fact, a lot of the times, perfectionism is self-preservation. We often lean into waiting until everything is perfect because we are so afraid that if we expose ourselves, we will be attacked, that we will be found out, that somebody outside of ourselves will cause pain for us by being in the judgment of what we're sharing. And because it is extraordinarily challenging to be vulnerable and exposed and then have people come at you, it's a real fear that we experience as human beings. However, the first step here is to understand one hard truth. No matter if you show up in what you feel is your perfect state versus showing up completely messy, people are still going to have negative things to say. They're still going to attack you. They're still going to try to bring you down. Because darkness that does not want to rise out of the density seeks to attack that which is breaking itself free. You have already broken yourself free from something that was creating an extraordinary amount of suffering in your life. And I know deeply that you have something within you that is meant to help others break free of that similar state of suffering. To shrink and to hide our light because we're afraid of someone else's opinion means that we let the darkness win. Attempting to avoid pain of someone saying something negative about you means that they win. And so the invitation today is to love yourself enough to redefine who you are, to see yourself in the light that you have always been, even in what you would label as your worst states, and to love yourself so largely that even when the external world puts you down, you know that they're putting you down because it challenges the places that need to grow within them. There is no such thing as perfect. Perfect is in the perception. In its core, the etymology of the word perfect, it means complete, to bring to wholeness. And however messy you think you are, there is a wholeness that exists within you. You already are complete. And you are meant to share yourself exactly the way that you are. And the way you do this, in truth, when you look at the etymology of the word perfect, the way that you become perfect is to become fully what you are meant to be. So the irony is, by showing up messy, by showing up what you might feel is unprepared, is how you become perfect. because you're showing up as you are meant to be. And yes, will you navigate challenges? Of course, it's life. No matter how much planning you do, you will never avoid the pain. The pain makes us grow. There is no amount of waiting or perfect preparation that will allow you to avoid challenges. They're unavoidable because there are teachers. You don't actually want to avoid them. You don't want to seek them, but you certainly don't want to avoid that which you need to become stronger. And so I want to invite you into embracing the idea that the perfect version of you is the version of who you are now. It's the version of you that wants to learn more about you, that wants to see the places in your life, not just where you're excelling, but to truly see the places in which you feel you are challenged, you are pained. Maybe there are places where you feel you are causing yourself pain, and to be willing to look at those through the lens of love for yourself enough to say, ooh, maybe I am creating that challenge that I don't need. Ooh, maybe I am jumping back into this pattern. Oh, maybe I'm not acting in accordance with my highest identity of what I know myself to be. And then work with that by stepping into action that aligns with who you really want to be on the inside. This is how you begin to step into your highest identity, into your own state of perfect. It is so important for us to understand that when we're trying to figure things out, it really is an intellectual battle of wanting to predict everything versus embracing our intuition, which is trusting the unknown, being willing to get out there even when it's messy and to just expose ourselves to something new and try. Because in the trying, when that trying is heart-led because we know something matters to us, we grow and you get to become more of you in that growing. I help bring people into their greatest identity by first bringing them into their greatest self-trust. Because what you are looking to bring to life on this planet isn't something that is already here. It's not something that you've learned from outside of you, actually. It may have been inspired and ignited by something, but it's not something that already exists because it's something you are here to create. It's something you're here to birth into this world. And in order for us to be so audacious, to be willing to create something that doesn't yet exist, we have to be in that level of self-trust and self-love to be willing to expose ourselves, even when we know there's a risk in exposing ourselves. There are new ideas, new inventions, new forms of life that you are meant to share in order to give aid, relief, and hope to many people. And in order to do that, you have to be willingly, ongoingly willing to keep stepping in to this higher identity of yourself. What I'm here to tell you is that there are 3 specific places in your field where a pattern has been running that is quietly holding you back. They're patterns that exist beneath the conscious awareness, and you have likely been living inside of them as if they were the truth of you. And these patterns distort your relationship with the true self. And they do this by distorting our relationship with our safety, our creative power, our worth, all of the elements that we need to have in their wholeness in order to be willing to step into the world and create from a place of confidence. These patterns keep you identified with a version of yourself that was never the truth. And If you are interested, you can learn more about these three patterns in my free Soul Codex Masterclass. It will be held live on May 13th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And if you sign up, whether you can make it live or not, you will receive the recording for this class to reveal what it is in your field that has been keeping you stuck. Yes, in part, it is the desire to feel safe. It's why we seek the perfectionism. It's why we often have such high standards. If I could just plan it perfectly, everything will be easier. But then the planning begins to take place of actually getting out there and being in service. And so there's much that we must understand about the self in order to rise to our highest potential. And I'm here to tell you the way in which you learn how to come into your highest sense of self, this highest confidence, your highest abundance, your most fulfilled way of living in a world where you're contributing of yourself in a way that feels deeply meaningful and exciting. All of that to get there, you have to find the answers. And the answers I'm here to teach you actually exist within you. It's a matter of learning to read that energy. And that's what I'm the expert at, is reading that language of energy. If you would like to join me for Soul Codex, visit lauraahern.com and sign up there. And I'm so excited that you are here to receive this message today. I hope in my heart that it inspires you to step into your creations now as you are, knowing that you are already perfect. And it is your willingness to share of yourself from your heart that brings you into the embodiment of your own perfection. Sending you so much love. Can't wait to be with you again. Namaste. Thank you for receiving these messages with an open heart. If you're ready to trust your intuition, read the energy speaking through your life, and claim the calling waiting for you, it's time to begin with the rise. Through the rise, you can become trained in Honorea Reiki, the first sovereign woman-channeled Reiki lineage in history, and receive a full year of healing, mentorship, and community. Visit lauraahern.com/rise to find out more. Everything you need to know is already speaking to you, and I can teach you to translate it. Until next time, trust what you feel, honor what you know, and watch your language. It's creating everything.